Her constant effort was the key to success. Her unwavering effort was the key to her success. The securities were sold to liquidate them for cash. The securities were sold to convert them into cash. The thick smoke stifled the firefighters. The dense smoke hindered the firefighters. The miserly friend never paid for lunch. The stingy friend never paid for lunch. He cleaned the room as a punishment for not listening. He cleaned the room as a consequence for not listening. I forewent dessert because I was too full. I skipped dessert because I was too full. The Pope held a mass to promote peace. The Pope held a mass to foster peace. She is one of the ardent BTS fans. She is one of the passionate BTS fans. The mentor gave sobering advice to the student. The mentor offered serious advice to the student. It is necessary to further reinforce traffic regulations. It is essential to further strengthen traffic regulations. Our forces finally captured the strategic stronghold. Our forces ultimately seized the strategic stronghold. The dictator declared martial law across the country by proclamation. The dictator proclaimed martial law nationwide. After wearing the shoes for a long time, they started to stink. After wearing the shoes for an extended period, they began to smell. Each child has a different rate of maturation. Each child has a different rate of development. His words and actions correspond with each other, so I trust him. His words and actions align, so I trust him. He joined the ruling party to engage in politics. He joined the ruling party to participate in politics. Tourism is considered an important sector of Hawaii's economy. Tourism is regarded as a crucial sector of Hawaii's economy. When she saw the monster, her whole body stiffened in fear. When she saw the monster, her entire body stiffened in terror. The haunted house in the amusement park appalled me. The haunted house in the amusement park shocked me. Imaginative thinking is needed to solve the problem. Creative thinking is necessary to resolve the problem. In the event of sudden illness, contact emergency services by dialing 119. In the event of an unexpected illness, you should immediately contact emergency services by dialing 119. The man and woman socialized and enjoyed themselves at the gathering. The man and woman mingled and found joy in one another's company at the gathering. The newlyweds experienced a joyous and fulfilling time during their trip. The newlyweds enjoyed a blissful and enriching time on their journey. I was involved in a catastrophic car accident on the highway. I was part of a disastrous car accident on the highway. Adolescence brings about significant physical transformations, including changes in voice. Adolescence leads to profound physical changes, such as alterations in voice. His understanding of philosophy was rather superficial and lacked depth. His grasp of philosophy was superficial and lacked profound insight. Agriculture is a crucial activity that supports and sustains rural communities. Agriculture is an essential practice that sustains rural areas and communities. The book I authored is primarily intended for beginners. The book I wrote is chiefly aimed at those just beginning. My father found himself in a pitiable state after losing his job. My father was in a deplorable condition after losing his job. The farmer was proficient in operating the latest agricultural machinery. The farmer demonstrated expertise in operating the latest agricultural machinery. This room has an unpleasant odor due to inadequate ventilation. This room is filled with an unpleasant odor due to insufficient ventilation. Companies must be attuned to the needs and demands of consumers. Companies must be responsive to the ever-changing demands of their consumers. The lawyer presented an argument in defense of the client's innocence before the judge. The lawyer made a compelling case in defense of the client's innocence before the judge. The player was sidelined for a period due to a leg injury. The player was temporarily sidelined due to a leg injury. The discharged soldier was reunited with his family after an extended separation. The discharged soldier was joyfully reunited with his family after a prolonged separation. A sponge typically absorbs a significant amount of water. A sponge usually absorbs a considerable amount of water. I prefer not to interfere in the personal relationships of others. I prefer to remain uninvolved in the personal relationships of others. The study of English requires substantial effort and dedication. The study of English necessitates considerable effort and devotion. The scout was sent to monitor the movements of the enemy for reconnaissance purposes. The scout was dispatched to observe the enemy's movements for reconnaissance purposes. My daughter offered an enthusiastic and spirited cheer at the concert. My daughter gave an exuberant and passionate cheer at the concert. The store was thrown into confusion after the fire broke out. The store was thrown into disarray after the fire erupted. The gutter was blocked with fallen leaves so the water couldn't flow. The gutter was clogged with fallen leaves, preventing the water from flowing. My parents' steadfast love has been a source of strength for me. My parents' unwavering love has been a wellspring of strength for me. My father was ill, but he was the centrality of our family. My father was ill, yet he remained the cornerstone of our family. Corruption and decay led to the fall of the Roman Empire. Corruption and moral decay contributed to the downfall of the Roman Empire. TV stars appear to be very sociable with others. Television stars seem to be highly sociable with others. The new regulations will be a damaging factor for our business. The new regulations are likely to pose a detrimental factor for our business. Our son likes to mock comedians. Our son enjoys mimicking comedians. I take supplements to supplement my vitamins. I take supplements to enhance my vitamin intake. In winter, I get a flu vaccine due to influenza. In winter, I receive a flu vaccine due to the risk of influenza. The baby's breastfeeding schedule was sporadic. The baby's breastfeeding schedule was irregular. The boy was still young and timid. The boy remained young and shy. I compressed the video file and saved it to a USB. I compressed the video file and stored it on a USB drive. Spitting on the street is an unworthy action for a gentleman. Spitting on the street is an unbecoming action for a gentleman. What we met was seen as the divine providence of God. What we encountered was regarded as the divine providence of God. The British man invited 2 countrymen to Korea. The British man extended an invitation to 2 fellow countrymen to Korea. The villagers presumed she was a scammer. The villagers suspected she was a fraud. Hercules was an unparalleled strong man. Hercules was an unmatched figure of strength. When I saw the actor, I felt an impulse to scream. When I saw the actor, I was overcome with the impulse to scream. The key to success can be said to be constancy and effort. The key to success can be said to lie in perseverance and effort. The old factory called a company for renovation. The old factory contacted a company for renovations. Inequality between nations can lead to war. Inequality between nations may ultimately result in war. The company restructured and eliminated the unprofitable department. The company restructured and abolished the unprofitable division. Terrorism is considered an inhumane and immoral act. Terrorism is regarded as a barbaric and unethical act. Our family eats organic food without pesticides. Our family consumes organic food free of pesticides. A luxuriant white rose bloomed in the garden. A lavish white rose bloomed in the garden. He seemed convinced that his argument was correct. He appeared confident that his argument was valid. Many people see beauty contests as negatively viewed. Many people view beauty contests in a negative light. The professor cited a famous philosopher in his lecture. The professor referenced a renowned philosopher in his lecture. Filipinos believe in predominantly Catholicism. Filipinos predominantly practice Catholicism. The murderer repented for his crime, albeit too late. The murderer repented for his crime, though it was too late. I added syrup to sweeten my coffee. I added syrup to enhance the sweetness of my coffee. I applied a repellent to chase away the pests. I applied a repellent to drive away the pests. Intervening in marital problems can lead to nothing but complaints. Intervening in marital issues can only result in complaints. Shintoism advocates eating indigenous foods. Shintoism encourages the consumption of indigenous foods. The landlord is liable for repairing the roof and walls. The landlord is responsible for repairing the roof and walls. He shared the winnings from his lottery prize with his relatives. He shared his lottery winnings with his relatives. According to the law, receipts must be retained for 5 years. According to the law, receipts must be kept for a period of 5 years. The waiter rendered water and food to the customer. The waiter served water and food to the customer. The U.S. government wanted to deport illegal immigrants. The U.S. government sought to deport illegal immigrants. She suffered from the side effects of cosmetic surgery. She endured the side effects of cosmetic surgery. A suspicious person was walking around our house. A suspicious individual was loitering around our house. His prestige as an economist was well known. His reputation as an economist was widely recognized. Russia deployed soldiers to Iraq. Russia stationed soldiers in Iraq. Severe stress can make you lose your sanity. Intense stress can lead to the loss of your mental stability. I enjoyed the exotic scenery of Hawaii with my friend. I relished the exotic landscapes of Hawaii with my friend. All the students in our class have confidence in the teacher. All the students in our class place their trust in the teacher. The popular singer's first album was an absolute success. The popular singer's debut album was an overwhelming success. His grandmother's Halloween costume was really ridiculous. His grandmother's Halloween costume was utterly absurd. South Korea's birth rate is declining radically. South Korea's birth rate is decreasing significantly. A naturalist is a scholar who studies animals or plants. A naturalist is a scholar who specializes in the study of animals or plants. Depression is one of the serious ailments of modern humans. Depression is one of the most debilitating conditions of modern humans. The deer tried to escape the trap desperately. The deer desperately attempted to flee the trap. You should make reliable people your friends. You should make trustworthy individuals your friends. The British dignitary held a party for the ambassador. The British dignitary hosted a reception for the ambassador. She was a patron who donated money to UNICEF. She was a benefactor who contributed funds to UNICEF. As you age, your bones become more brittle. As you grow older, your bones become more fragile. She went to school in the afternoon to fetch the kids. She went to school in the afternoon to pick up the children. The entire building was in blaze due to arson. The entire building was ablaze due to arson. She sprinkled chocolate chips beautifully on the cake. She gracefully sprinkled chocolate chips over the cake. Uranus is the third largest planet in the solar system. Uranus is the third largest planet within our solar system. I made compost from fallen leaves and spread it in the garden. I created compost from fallen leaves and scattered it in the garden. Joy is doubled when shared, and distress is halved. Joy is multiplied when shared, and sorrow is diminished. I climbed to the summit of Halasan with the mountaineering members and took pictures. I ascended to the summit of Halasan with the mountaineering group and took photographs. The nomad lived in the wilderness, raising cows and horses. The nomad resided in the wilderness, raising cattle and horses. It's a rash decision to conclude before the meeting ends. It is an impulsive decision to conclude before the meeting concludes. I learned to cook through an apprenticeship in Korean cuisine. I learned to cook through an apprenticeship in Korean culinary arts. The salesman had a harsh and unmusical voice. The salesman had a grating and unmelodic voice. The CIA agent deliberately spilled water on the gentleman. The CIA agent intentionally spilled water on the gentleman. The pigsty was filled with a lot of muck from the pigs. The pigsty was filled with a great deal of muck from the pigs. With sufficient sleep, her body was refreshed. After a good amount of sleep, her body felt revitalized. I prepared a shotgun for the wild boar hunt. I readied a shotgun for the wild boar hunt. This store is great because it sells goods at wholesale prices. This store is excellent because it offers products at wholesale prices. Congress passed the law after discussing corporate tax cuts. Congress passed the law following discussions on corporate tax cuts. I visited the folk village and looked at the quaint items from the past. I visited the folk village and admired the charming artifacts from the past. Now we must end the unrelenting tension between North and South Korea. We must resolve the persistent tension between North and South Korea. I felt my finger tingling after being stung by a bee, a tingling sensation in my finger after being stung by a bee. A throng gathered at the castle gates to see the queen. A crowd gathered at the castle gates to witness the Queen. General Yi Sun-sin disposed of the turtle ships in a line. General Yi Sun-sin arranged the turtle ships in a line. Enrichment of uranium requires official authorization. The enrichment of uranium requires formal authorization. He took the cold medicine according to the dose on the prescription. He took the cold medicine based on the prescribed dosage. The opposition party had a skeptical response to the ruling party's policies. The opposition party expressed doubts regarding the ruling party's policies. The advertisement is always preceded before the movie starts. The advertisement is always shown before the film begins. He instantly regretted after having a big fight with my friend. I immediately felt remorse after a major dispute with my friend. The wizard tried to make gold using alchemy. The wizard endeavored to create gold through alchemy. Zealous believers volunteered for the church. Devoted followers offered their time to assist the church. He learned the rudiments of grammar well in English class. He mastered the basics of grammar effectively in English class. Badrum or shave a swift nature when they spread. Malicious rumors spread rapidly once they take root. The dictator controlled the press and oppressed the people. The dictator manipulated the media and subdued the population. Biofuels are fuels made fro. Plants like corn. Biofuels are energy sources derived from plants such as corn. He has developed the habit of saving even 101. He has cultivated the habit of saving even the smallest amounts, like 101. The cabin was able to withstand the powerful hurricane. The cabin was resilient enough to endure the mighty hurricane. Algae cause alga blooms due to various factors. Algal blooms are triggered by several factors. He attended the graduation ceremony for the conferment of the diploma. He participated in the graduation ceremony to receive his diploma. The chair she found still had warmth left on it. The chair she occupied still retained warmth. The prosecutor investigated the corruption involving politicians and public officials. The prosecutor examined the corruption associated with politicians and public servants. Tourism played a vital role in enriching Egypt. Tourism was an essential factor in Egypt's prosperity. We met entirely by coincidence. We met entirely by chance. The prisoner attempted to escape from the prison but was apprehended. The prisoner tried to flee but was caught in the act. I actively dissuaded him from using drugs. I strongly discouraged him from engaging in drug use. The frightened fox hid behind a tree after seeing the lion. The terrified fox sought shelter behind a tree after spotting the lion. Decimal calculations use numbers from 0 to 9. Decimal arithmetic employs digits from 0 to 9. The movie was nominated for the grand prize at the film festival. The film was nominated for the prestigious award at the film festival. He sang a love song with an emphatic voice. He sang a love song with a passionate and emphatic voice. Izawa Onicorn with a single horn in a daydream. I envisioned Onicorn with a solitary horn. In a daydream, he wears a hearing aid due to hearing impairment. He uses a hearing aid due to auditory impairment. Genoreplication is subject to strict management. Genoreplication is governed by string and regulations. The criminal was upset, claiming he was caught purely by mischance. The criminal was distressed, asserting that his capture was a mere accident. The sculptor imprinted his famous quote onto the marble. The sculptor engraved his renowned quote onto the marble. The criminal refuted the charges against them. The criminal denied the accusations leveled against them. She is an instructor who teaches piano. She is an educator who imparts piano lessons. The movie will have its premiere in the theaters in June. The film is set to premiere in the theaters this June. People of 10 express their affectional deficiencies. People of 10 reveal their emotional shortcomings. The Titanic is a sunken passenger ship due to an iceberg. The Titanic is a submerged passenger ship that sank due to an iceberg. The oasis appeared like a mirage and then disappeared. The oasis seemed like a mirage, only to vanish shortly after King Henry imprisoned the nobility to consolidate his power. King Henry confined the nobility to strengthen his rule. He lives in a lofty apartment on the 30th floor. He resides in an elevated apartment on the 30th floor. An overdose of medication can easily lead to drug addiction. An excessive intake of medication can readily result in drug dependency. The farmer picked apples to sell after they ripened deliciously. The farmer harvested apples to sell until they ripened to perfection. He lost a lot of money. Through impetuous stock investments, he lost a significant amount of money due to reckless stock investments. The cars were almost standstill on the highway. The cars were nearly stationary on the highway. The rich are staying in luxurious villas. The wealthy are residing in opulent villas. The bank I was dealing with went into bankruptcy, so I couldn't receive the money. The bank I was working with declared bankruptcy, so was unable to receive the funds. The farmer fertilized the land with compost. The farmer enriched the soil with compost. I omitted the repetitive sentences while reviewing the paper. I excluded the redundant sentences while reviewing the paper. Life should be viewed optimistically rather than with pessimism. Life should be approached with optimism rather than pessimism. Our forces had to retreat due to the enemy's full-scale attack. Our forces were compelled to retreat due to the enemy's full-scale assault. His statement contradicted his actions. His statement was in direct opposition to his actions. The rumor that they were dating was a widespread gossip. The rumor of their relationship spread widely as gossip. The nuns live in the conventina community. The nuns reside in the convent. Living as part of a community, I clicked the mouse to rotate the image by 90 degrees. I clicked the mouse to rotate the image by 90 degrees. The aristocrats maltreated the slaves in the castle. The aristocrats mistreated the servants within the castle. We should avoid hasty generalizations. We should refrain from making rash generalizations. The lavender scent filled the room through diffusion. The fragrance of lavender filled the room as it diffused. He sustained extensive injuries in the car accident. He suffered severe injuries in the car accident. The pain after the surgery subsided after a few weeks. The pain from the surgery diminished after a few weeks. The old man is still robust for his age. The elderly man remains remarkably strong for his age. A ceremonial event was held to commemorate the 123 building. A commemorative ceremony was held to honor the 123 building. The computer helps facilitate information analysis. The computer assists in streamlining data analysis. The painting fully expresses the artist's delicacy. The painting eloquently conveys the artist's. The aristocrats led their armies in the castle. The aristocrats commanded their armies from within the castle. My grandmother needleworks in her free time. My grandmother does needlework in her spare time. She ended her oppressive marriage with her husband. She terminated her oppressive marriage with her husband. I like both contemporary and classical art. I appreciate both modern and classical art. Rowling is known for her authorship of the famous Harry Potter series. Rowling is renowned for authoring the famous Harry Potter series. Many Jews were massacred by the German army. Numerous Jews were slaughtered by the German army. Your careless actions marred our project. Your negligent actions tarnished our project. Adamant the size of an egg emitted a brilliant light. Adamant, the size of an egg, radiated a dazzling light. The new diplomat had no diplomacy skills at all. The new diplomat lacked any diplomatic skills whatsoever. The stray cat was rolling in the filth pile. The stray cat was tumbling in the pile of filth. A schoolmate taunted me in front of others, calling me a fool. A schoolmate mocked me in front of others, calling me a fool. The food at the restaurant is eatable, but the taste is not great. The food at the restaurant is edible, but a flavor subpar. Prayed to God to aid us. I prayed to God to assist us. She was sulky all day because she couldn't buy the doll. She was in a bad mood all day because she couldn't purchase the doll. Our troops launched a frontal attack against the enemy. Our forces initiated a direct assault against the enemy. I went to see a language therapist for counseling. I visited a language therapist for guidance. The surgeon was busy with operations from the morning. The surgeon was occupied with surgeries from the morning. The computer can perform many tasks simultaneously. The computer is capable of performing numerous tasks at once. The Roman soldier rode a chariot to the battlefield. The Roman soldier drove a chariot to the battlefield. The athlete ran up the steep hill. The athlete ascended the steep hill. The selective breeding of cows reduces congenital defects. Selective breeding of cattle helps diminish congenital defects. The warrior looked at the monster with a fearless gaze. The warrior gazed at the monster with a fearless stare. Today is the day of the centennial celebration. Today marks the centennial celebration. The YouTuber's cumulative views exceeded 1 million. The YouTuber's total views surpassed 1 million. The professor wrote a testimonial for the scholarship student. The professor wrote our commendation letter for the scholarship student. Sociology studies society and human behavior. Sociology examines society and human behavior. The teacher gave a daunting assignment to the middle school students. The teacher assigned a challenging task to the middle school students. Most religions advocate childbirth rather than abortion. Most religions support childbirth over abortion. Korea is a homogeneous country that speaks the same language. Korea is a homogeneous nation with a shared language. My younger sister flaunted her new shoes to me. My younger sister proudly showed off her new shoes to me. Made an apartment covenant with the tenant yesterday. I made a rental agreement with the tenant yesterday. In a capitalist society, capitalism holds power. In a capitalist society, capitalism wields authority. She is pessimistic regarding the new business. She is doubtful about the prospects of the new business. The Korean Empire proclaimed its independence to the world. The Korean Empire declared its independence to the world. The notion of capitalism is different from communism. The concept of capitalism differs from that of communism. Thanks to the alibi, I was exonerated from prison. Thanks to the alibi, I was cleared of any wrongdoing and released from prison. Cats and dogs can coexist together. Cats and dogs can live harmoniously together. Obese individuals tend to overeat and not exercise well. Obese individuals often overeat and neglect exercise. The old man left a large inheritance to his son. The elderly man bequeathed a substantial inheritance to his son. The warehouse items were sorted in numerical order. The items in the warehouse were organized in numerical order. The police caught the offender trying to escape at the scene. The police apprehended the offender attempting to flee at the scene. My aunt's countenance was poor because she was feeling sick. My aunt's demeanor was poor because she was unwell. He was very dissatisfied with his math exam results. He was highly dissatisfied with the results of his math exam. Politeness toward the elderly is a virtue of the young. Courtesy towards the elderly is a virtue of youth. She sang a lullaby to put the baby to sleep. She sang a lullaby to soothe the baby to sleep. Rappers use a lot of slang in their songs. Rappers incorporate a great deal of slang in their lyrics. The lodging cost at the five-star hotel was reasonably expensive. The lodging cost at the five-star hotel was quite price. As a gigantic whale at the zoo? Is a one enormous whale at the zoo? Her vague answer had a connotation of refusal. Her ambiguous response carried an implication of rejection. Harry appeared in court as a prosecution witness. Harry testified in court as a witness for the prosecution. He suggested an innovative solution to the problem. He proposed a creative solution to the problem. We admired the flowers in the park's botanical garden. We admired the blossoms in the park's botanical garden. Novelist abridged the content and introduced it in the newspaper. The novelist condensed the content and published it in the newspaper. Astronomy professors study the stars in the sky. Astronomy professors examine the stars in the night sky. He suffered from temporary amnesia due to a car accident. He experienced temporary memory loss due to a car accident. A large corporation posted a job opening for new employees. A large corporation announced a job opening for new hires. It took an attitude of ambiguity between the two people. I adopted an ambiguous stance between the two individuals. His advice crucially influenced my decision. His counsel significantly impacted my decision. I felt a tinge of jealousy in her words. I sensed a hint of jealousy in her words. The final destination of this express bus is bussin'. The final stop of this express bus is bussin'. All my came to my graduation party. All my relatives attended my graduation party. She's quiet, but sometimes shows a fiery temperament. She is reserved, but occasionally displays a fiery temperament. Parents have an obligation to nurture their children well. Parents have a duty to raise their children properly. He was urgently arrested on charges of vehicle theft. He was swiftly arrested on charges of vehicle theft. Cats can groom their fur with their tongues. Cats can clean their fur using their tongues. Salt water is corrosive, so it was kept away from iron. Salt water is corrosive, so it was kept away from iron to prevent damage. In Greek mythology, there are many gods. Greek mythology features a variety of gods. His decision to quit his job was an arbitrary one. His decision to resign from his job was arbitrary. Many animals appear in Korea's folklore. Numerous animals appear in Korea's folklore. The two world wars caused a global massacre. The two world wars resulted in a global massacre. He was exhausted from working overtime for a week and depleted his energy. He was drained from working overtime for a week and had exhausted his energy. We hugged each other at the airport, tearful. We embraced each other at the airport, tears in our eyes. If you're compulsive about speaking well, words won't come out. If you are obsessive about speaking well, words will fail to come out. The criminal waived his right to appoint a lawyer. The criminal relinquished his right to choose a lawyer. Your rude behavior really offended her. Your impolite behavior truly insulted her. The polite young man showed reverence to the elderly. The courteous young man demonstrated respect to the elderly. Every problem has a corresponding solution. Every issue has a corresponding answer. The computer displayed the building in a three-dimensional shape. The computer rendered the building in a three-dimensional form. The elderly man faltered severely while going down the stairs. The elderly man stumbled greatly while descending the stairs. After the machine repair, the overall production increased by 10%. Following the machine repair, total production rose by 10%. Luffy and his crew embarked on the Sunny to go on an adventure. Luffy and his crew set sail on the Sunny for an adventure. This book is about the story of an ingenious country boy. This book tells the story of a clever country boy. The proportion of male freshmen is lower than that of female freshmen. The proportion of male freshmen is less than that of female freshmen. I gave her maternity clothes as a gift to congratulate her. I gave her maternity clothes as a gift to congratulate her. The creation of the Korean alphabet is a great accomplishment of King Sejong. The creation of the Korean alphabet is a monumental achievement of King Sejong pottery, is fired multiple times in Akilnathai temperatures. Pottery is fired several times in Akilnate-elevated temperatures. Everything I'm saying right now is factual. Everything I am saying at this moment is based on facts. In the foreseeable future, autonomous vehicles will become mainstream. In the near future, autonomous vehicles will become a mainstream mode of transportation. I intend to patronize domestically made products whenever possible. I plan to support domestically produced goods whenever possible. Even a rat will make a desperate attack when cornered. Even Eret will launch a desperate attack when trapped. He seems to have a radiance on his face when he smiles. He seems to have a glow on his face when he smiles. Superman wore a cape when responding to a crime scene. Superman donned a cape when responding to a crime scene. I built a country house to enjoy the tranquility of the countryside. I constructed a country house to savor the peace of the countryside. John suddenly poked my shoulder during class. John suddenly nudged my shoulder during class. I controverted his false claims one by one. I refuted his false claims one by one. It is desirable to refrain from smoking in public places. It is advisable to avoid smoking in public places. The thief scrambled over the fence when he was caught by the owner. The thief scrambled over the fence when he was caught by the owner. Many people moved into urban apartments. Many people relocated to urban apartments. Niagara Falls offered a breathtaking view. Niagara Falls provide a stunning view. The government took resolute measures regarding the bribe. The government took decisive actions regarding the bribe. Weighted an electrostatic induction experiment in science class. We conducted an electrostatic induction experiment in science class. The death of his friend caused him great agony. The death of his friend brought him immense sorrow. The criminal's statement was mostly inconsistent with the facts. The criminal's statement was largely inconsistent with the facts. A chameleon can camouflage by changing the color of its skin to match the leaves. A chameleon can disguise itself by altering the color of its skin to blend in with the leaves. Ethanol is made from corn-using microbes. Ethanol is produced from corn through the use of microbes. A historian has deeper knowledge of history than most people. A historian possesses a deeper understanding of history than most individuals. The underground repository containing cultural heritage was flooded. The underground repository containing cultural heritage was inundated. Your eye color is determined by your inherited gene. Your eye color is dictated by your inherited gene. The company showed sustainable growth despite the recession. The company demo demonstrated sustainable growth despite the economic downturn. Australia is located in the southern hemisphere on the map. Australia is situated in the southern hemisphere on the map. I portrayed her in various poses. I depicted her in various poses. The food at the so-called best restaurant was really dreadful. The food at the so-called best restaurant was truly awful. She personalized the computer's startup screen. She customized the computer's startup screen. Korea sent a delegation to negotiate with Japan. Korea dispatched a delegation to engage in negotiations with Japan. Hatry to overcome his hearing disability. He attempted to overcome his hearing impairment. A bone marrow donor appeared for a young leukemia patient. A bone marrow donor came forward for a young leukemia patient. The boss wants conformity to his instructions. The boss demands adherence to his instructions. Aerobic exercises like jogging at home are good for health. Aerobic exercises, such as jogging at home, are beneficial for health. Diet and lifestyle affect the progression of diabetes. Diet and lifestyle influence the progression of diabetes. She outperformed her competitors with exceptional skill. She surpassed her competitors with remarkable skill. The winner of the competition was acclaimed with cheers. The winner of the competition was celebrated with cheers. After changing the car's engine, its efficiency improved. After replacing the car's engine, its performance improved. Koreans enjoy seaweed like kim and dried kelp. Koreans enjoy seaweed such as kim and dried kelp. The Earth's rotation causes day and night. The Earth's rotation results in day and night. A netizen posted a petition on the Blue House bulletin board. A netizen submitted a petition on the Blue House bulletin board. The worker complained about receiving an inadequate salary. The worker voiced dissatisfaction about receiving an insufficient salary. He's a philosophy professor who is respected by his students. He's a philosophy professor who is highly regarded by his students. He spent time sitting in the chair in a mindless state. He spent time sitting in the chair, lost in thought. Her plan encountered resistance from the other side. Her plan faced opposition from the other side. He is meticulous enough to record his daily schedule. He is detailed enough to document his daily schedule. Her discontent with the new manager exploded. Her dissatisfaction with the new manager erupted. When they heard a human voice, the rats scurried underground. When they heard a human voice, ferrets scurried to safety underground. The relationship between North and South Korea has reached a deadlock without progress. The relationship between North and South Korea has reached a standstill without progress. His apathetic attitude made his girlfriend angry. His indifferent attitude made his girlfriend upset. She received criticism for wearing a high-vis dress. She faced criticism for wearing a high-vis dress. I am planning for the expansion of the store because it is doing well. I am planning for the store's expansion due to its success. The singer sang in tune with the piano accompaniment. The singer performed in harmony with the piano accompaniment. I was startled when the car whizzed by right next to me. I was startled when the car zoomed past right next to me. He's a very qualified teacher. He's a highly qualified teacher. He fixed the swallow's broken limb with that wig. He repaired the swallow's broken limb with that wig. He sent them the invoice for the clothes I ordered. I sent them the bill for the clothes I purchased. A chicken is a type of fowl raised at home. A chicken is a type of poultry raised domestically. The exam required validation of its relevance. The exam necessitated validation of its relevance. It was destiny that they took the same bus. It was fate that they took the same bus. The exact origin of go somewhat in obscurity, the exact origin of go somewhat shrouded in mystery. She received her diploma at the college graduation ceremony. She received her degree at the college commencement ceremony. He was reluctant to clean his room. He was unwilling to clean his room. Be careful when you ascend a tall ladder. Be cautious when you climb a tall ladder. I worked in the accounting department managing the company's funds. I worked in the accounting department overseeing the company's funds. The sports car zoomed quickly past me. The sports car sped quickly past me. It's harmful to develop a dependence on alcohol to forget pain. It is damaging to develop a reliance on alcohol to numb pain. Is shared a fraction of the pizza with my friend. Is shared a portion of the pizza with my friend. Is spent all my time in indecision while choosing clothes. Is spent all my time in uncertainty while choosing clothes. Reliance on medication due to insomnia is harmful. Dependence on medication due to insomnia is detrimental. The doctor prescribed antibiotics after the surgery. The doctor prescribed antibiotics following the surgery. A scrupulous comparison is necessary when buying a new car. A thorough comparison is essential when purchasing a new car. The banquet for the farewell party ended midnight. The banquet for the farewell party concluded at midnight. He worked hard on our behalf. He worked diligently on our behalf. The sun slowly set beyond the ridge. The sun gradually set beyond the ridge. Your ragged clothes make you look pitiful. Your tattered clothes make you appear pitiful. Harry wandered freely thanks to his invisibility. Harry roamed freely due to his invisibility. It tried to remain sanguine the more difficult life became. I attempted to stay optimistic as life became more challenging. I pressed the accelerator to accelerate the car. I pressed the accelerator to speed up the car. The Philippines had a period of American colonial rule in the past. The Philippines experienced a period of American colonial rule in the past. My friend deluded me by pretending to be close. My friend deceived me by pretending to be close. People were moved by his outspoken speech. People were touched by his candid speech. Many people visited the hospital due to the infection of measles. Many people went to the hospital due to a measles infection. The thief used his cleverness in the wrong way. The thief misused his cleverness. Oil prices have been inexorable in their rises since the summer. Oil prices have risen relentlessly since the summer. The boxer battered his opponent's abdomen continuously. The boxer relentlessly struck his opponent's abdomen. To complete the renewal of the permit, you must pay annually. To finalize the permit renewal, you must pay annually. Our house is on a ridge, so the lookout is great. Our house is situated on a ridge, offering a great view. Luffy recaptured the island from the bad pirates. Luffy reclaimed the island from the evil pirates. Hot water suddenly poured out of the faucet. Hot water suddenly gushed out of the faucet. To get what you want, nimbleness is required. To attain your desires, agility is essential. The matchstick flared and then went out immediately. The matchstick flared up and extinguished immediately. Last year, I launched my own sports fashion business. Last year, I initiated my own sports fashion business. He firmly rejected my job offer. He steadfastly declined my job offer. Thick eyebrows are the new makeup vogue this year. Thick eyebrows are the new trend in makeup this year. I felt compassion for the stray cat and brought it home. I felt sympathy for the stray cat and brought it home. Harry wandered freely thanks to his invisibility. Harry roamed freely due to his invisibility. It tried to remain sanguine the more difficult life became. I attempted to stay optimistic as life became more challenging. I pressed the accelerator to accelerate the car. I pressed the accelerator to speed up the car. The Philippines had a period of American colonial rule in the past. The Philippines experienced a period of American colonial rule in the past. My friend deluded me by pretending to be close. My friend deceived me by pretending to be close. People were moved by his outspoken speech. People were touched by his candid speech. Many people visited the hospital due to the infection of measles. Many people went to the hospital due to a measles infection. The thief used his cleverness in the wrong way. The thief misused his cleverness. Oil prices have been inexorable in their rises since the summer. Oil prices have risen relentlessly since the summer. The boxer battered his opponent's abdomen continuously. The boxer relentlessly struck his opponent's abdomen. To complete the renewal of the permit, you must pay annually. To finalize the permit renewal, you must pay annually. Our house is on a ridge, so the lookout is great. Our house is situated on a ridge, offering a great view. Luffy recaptured the island from the bad pirates. Luffy reclaimed the island from the evil pirates. Hot water suddenly poured out of the faucet. Hot water suddenly gushed out of the faucet. To get what you want, nimbleness is required. To attain your desires, agility is essential. The matchstick flared and then went out immediately. The matchstick flared up and extinguished immediately. Last year, I launched my own sports fashion business. Last year, I initiated my own sports fashion business. He firmly rejected my job offer. He steadfastly declined my job offer. Thick eyebrows are the new makeup vogue this year. Thick eyebrows are the new trend in makeup this year. I felt compassion for the stray cat and brought it home. I felt sympathy for the stray cat and brought it home. Their porter drove the carriage up the rugged slope. Their porter drove the carriage up the steep slope. King Arthur was ruined by the treachery of his minister. King Arthur was undone by the betrayal of his minister. The police tried to clarify the cause of the accident. The police attempted to clarify the cause of the accident. Her sincerity was a major asset in her success. Her sincerity was a significant factor in her success. I gulped a cube of water because I was thirsty. I gulped down a cube of water because I was parched. His burn-related external injuries were serious. His burn-related external injuries were severe, acted as if he were indifferent to her. He behaved as though he were indifferent to her. The movie was denounced for being too violent. The movie was criticized for being excessively violent. The doctor specialized in plastic surgery at the university. The doctor specialized in plastic surgery at the university. His boyhood was more influenced by his mother than his father. His boyhood was shaped more by his mother than by his father. Today's meeting was canceled due to too few attendees. Oday's meeting was called off due to insufficient attendees. Newton accidentally discovered the law of gravitation. Newton stumbled upon the law of gravitation by chance. I am still an inept driver when it comes to parking. I am still an unskilled driver when it comes to parking. She was a dedicated mother to her family. She was a devoted mother to her family. There were so many people on the subway this morning that we shoved each other. There were so many people on the subway this morning that we bumped into each other. Be careful not to be deceived by deceptive well. ON adds, be cautious not to be misled by fraudulent loan advertisements. He retracted his promise for no reason. He withdrew his promise for no apparent reason. The new soldier's vigor had a positive impact on his steam. The new soldier's energy had a beneficial effect on his steam. I ordered the dish of the day based on the restaurant's recommendation. I ordered the special of the day based on the restaurant's recommendation. After training, the swimmer drained the pool water. After training, the swimmer emptied the pool. The prosecutor investigated the corrupt public officials. The prosecutor conducted an inquiry into the corrupt public officials. The United States has bountiful natural resources. The United States is blessed with ample natural resources. The hacker failed to hack due to the complexity of the code. The hacker was unsuccessful in breaching the system due to the intricacies of the code. Korea is a monolingual environment where only Korean is spoken. Korea is a linguistically homogeneous society where only Korean is spoken. Namit sprained her ankle after falling from the boat. Namit twisted her ankle after tumbling off the boat. The fortune tellers claim that they can foresee the future. The fortune tellers assert that they have the ability to predict the future. The electricity bill payment was overdue, and a reminder was sent. The electricity bill payment was delinquent, and a reminder was dispatched. He submitted his application to the company. He handed in his application to the company. The knight on a white horse pierced the monster's belly with his sword. The knight on the white steed thrust this sword into the monster's belly. She answered my question with certainty. She replied to my question with assurance. The counterfeiter art fully forged the 50,000 won bill. The counterfeiter skill fully fabricated the 50,000 won bill. He was severely scolded for committing theft. He was harshly reprimanded for committing theft. Humans have an insatiable desire for power. Humans possess an unquenchable thirst for power. I recorded in a soundproof studio. I made the recording in a soundproof studio. The attacker avoided the defensive player and scored a goal. The attacker sidestepped the defensive player and scored a goal. If you touch the secretions of a snail, they feel slimy. If you touch a snail's secretions, they feel slimy. I transferred the money from my account to my wife's account. I transferred the funds from my account to my wife's account. She had an aptitude for music from a young age. She had a natural flair for music from a young age. Scrape the fan's black bottom with a steel scrubber. Scrub the fan's black bottom with a steel scrubber. Colonel Kim is rumored to be strict with his soldiers. Colonel Kim is said to be stern with his soldiers. BTS's concert yesterday was absolutely fabulous. BTS's concert yesterday was truly magnificent. I was reborn as a muscular man through exercise. I transformed into a muscular man through exercise. Free trade is based on reciprocity. Free trade is founded on mutual benefit. Syria is suffering from a civil war affecting the whole nation. Syria is enduring a civil war that is impacting the entire nation. Being too obsessive about hygiene can have a reverse effect. Being overly fixated on hygiene can result in a counterproductive effect. I cleaned every nook of the house for the first time in a while. I tidied every corner of the house for the first time in a while. The movie is about aliens invading Earth. The movie centers around aliens invading Earth. Encyclopedia is a book that contains all knowledge. An encyclopedia is a book that encompasses all knowledge. He tried to assimilate the new trends. He attempted to absorb the new trends. The determinant of cost is the price of the product. The key factor in determining cost is the price of the product. Her stock investment failure was due to a facile analysis. Her stock investment failure was caused by a superficial analysis. I submitted the documents needed for my passport application. I handed in the necessary documents for my passport application. He undertook the task of taking care of the children. He assumed the responsibility of looking after the children. The interpreter made a mistake in the translation. The interpreter made an error in the translation. She is a well-known hotel specialist. She is a renowned hotel expert. The lecture at the seminar, that latter stuck in my memory. The lecture at the seminar later remained etched in my memory. A person is greatly affected by the influence of their growing environment. A person is profoundly shaped by the influence of their environment. Always beware of the neighbor's hunting dog. Always be cautious of the neighbor's hunting dog. His ingenuity livened up the atmosphere of the party. His creativity invigorated the atmosphere of the party. The framework of the building was strong enough to withstand earthquakes. The building's framework was robust enough to endure earthquakes. She was irritated because she was too late for the appointment. She was frustrated because she was late for the appointment. He was welcomed by everyone at the gathering. He was greeted warmly by everyone at the gathering. The shark is the most terrifying predator in the ocean. The shark is the most fearsome predator in the ocean. We saw concurrence in our decision to travel to the UK. We saw agreement in our decision to travel to the UK. Chicken shops in Korea are at saturation level. Chicken shops in Korea have reached saturation. She registered at the gym for her fitness. She signed up at the gym to maintain her fitness. The startling news that the star is getting married was revealed. The shocking news that the star is getting married was disclosed. She adorned her hat with roses. She decorated her hat with roses. Vanity and extravagance lead people to destruction. Vanity and excess led people to ruin. The armament competition between the US and Russia was fierce. The arms race between the US and Russia was intense. He had a deformity in his arm due to a genetic mutation. He had a deformity in his arm due to a genetic mutation. The delivery company strives to be as punctual as possible. The delivery company strives to be as timely as possible. The crown found the treasure ship was priceless. The crown found on the treasure ship was invaluable. The hunter lured the sparrow with delicious food. The hunter enticed the sparrow with tasty food. I have pockmarks because I had smallpox when I was young. I have scars from smallpox because I had it when I was young. My friend wears a flower hat with an eccentric taste. My friend wears a flower hat with a unique taste. Don't stray too much from the topic of discussion. Don't deviate too far from the discussion topic. The politician incited the public and sparked a protest. The politician stirred up the public and provoked a protest. Steve Jobs was a successful multimillionaire in business. Steve Jobs was a prosperous multimillionaire in business. The pendulum of the wall clock swung back and forth. The pendulum of the wall clock oscillated back and forth. I had to pay an additional fee for the air conditioner installation. I had to pay an extra charge for the air conditioner installation. He used to be a teacher, but his current job is a lawyer. He was formerly a teacher, but his current profession is that of a lawyer. He considers being superstitious when moving. He deems himself superstitious when moving. The story of the young man helping his grandmother was really heartwarming. The tale of the young man assisting his grandmother was truly heartwarming. I used pesticide to kill the mosquitoes. I used insecticide to eliminate the mosquitoes. He had a small stature, but he was a strong person. He had a diminutive frame, but he was a robust individual. I bought a beverage like cola at the grocery store. I bought a soft drink such as cola at the grocery store. I'm struggling because of insomnia these days. I'm having difficulty due to insomnia these days. He received a legacy of $5,000 from his father. He inherited a bequest of $5,000 from his father. She was unemployed for 2 years after being laid off. She was out of work for 2 years after being laid off. My boyfriend greeted my mom formally. My boyfriend greeted my mother politely. She was the only lawful heir of the large corporation. She was the sole legitimate heir of the large corporation. The captain had experience sailing in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The captain had navigated both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The monastery is where the clergy study. The monastery is where the clergy are trained. I was always cautious when meeting strangers. I was always prudent when encountering strangers. The Ministry of Education repealed the dress code for students. The Ministry of Education abolished the dress code for students. Korea is not officially at the end of the war. Korea is not officially at the conclusion of the war. When I got my paycheck, I donated a small amount to charity. When I received my paycheck, I contributed a modest amount to charity. My younger sister filled the pail with water using the hose. My younger sister filled the bucket with water using the hose. The murderer committed an odious series of murders. The murderer carried out a heinous series of killings. Young people in South Korea must obligate to serve in the military. Young individuals in South Korea are mandated to serve in the armed forces. During military training, the sergeant saluted the colonel. During military drills, the sergeant rendered a salute to the colonel. His refusal to answer the phone infuriated me. His refusal to engage with the phone enraged me. I magnified the image with a magnifying glass. I enlarged the image using a magnifying instrument. The more I fixed the errors, the better my accuracy became. The more I rectified the errors, the more precise my accuracy became. Despite the criticism, I maintained my composure. In spite of the reproach, I preserved my composure. The criminal strangled the victim with a rope. The perpetrator throttled the victim with a rope. She met the bishop at the Roman cathedral. She encountered the bishop at the Roman cathedral. An excellent athlete must have good agility. A superb athlete must possess remarkable agility. My mom was concerned about me not studying hard. My mother expressed concern over my lack of diligence in studying. The pastor preached a sermon at church every Sunday. The pastor delivered a sermon at the church every Sunday. The author wrote about his life in a narrative style. The author chronicled his life in a narrative manner. The full moon brightly lightened the streets at night. The full moon illuminated the streets brightly at night. Gardening in the middle of summer is backbreaking work. Gardening in the height of summer is exhausting labor. Rice and potatoes are classified as starches. Rice and potatoes are categorized as carbohydrates. I hadn't washed for a few days, so my whole body itched. I hadn't bathed for several days, so my entire body itched. I had a justification for getting angry at him. I had a valid reason for becoming angry with him. The company was scouting for talented people. The company was seeking talented individuals. He had assurance about my success. He had confidence in my success. The professor's repetitive explanations bored the students. The professor's monotonous explanations bored the students.